To go.
Alrighty, well, good morning, Red Carpet. As you all know what's coming, I always say it. It's a good day when it's a red carpet day, and I really, really do mean it. So today's going to be a little bit different. We have quite a few new faces with us today. We have a lot of folks from Mosaic. So we're all going to kind of get to meet them a little bit and kind of learn about all the awesome stuff that Mosaic does. So rather than doing an introduction on just Amanda, who is my point of contact over there, I'm going to kind of give you some quick facts about Mosaic, and then we're going to have them take it away and have some fun today. Like Kim said, though, please put questions into the chat. We always make sure that there's a little bit of time at the end of that so we can answer any of those questions. But before we kind of jump into the presentation, I'll kind of give you a little bit of information, a little bit of background on Mosaic. So Mosaic was created in 2003 when Martin Luther Holmes and the, Amanda, I'm going to screw this one up again, I'm sorry, but Bethany Mission joined together. Bethany Mission began in 1913 in Axtell, either New England or Nebraska. You're going to have to correct me, I apologize. Martin Luther Holmes began in 1925 in Sterling, I think it's Nebraska. They have over 100 years of experience serving people with intellectual disabilities. So really, really important stuff. Mosaic's family consists of 37 agencies in 10 states. They have about 4,000 employees and they serve 3,700 people. So really, really big deal. Their first legacy organization was started by a man named K.G. William Dahl, who had seen how people with disabilities or the poor or other in kind of these margins of our society were mistreated. He really wanted to offer something better. Inspired by his vision, 54 donors from local churches each gave $1 apiece, and the Bethany Mission was created and born from that moment. During a typical year, Mosaic in Northern Colorado hosts a number of ice cream socials, appreciation luncheons, picnics, a fun Christmas pageant, a fun Christmas party. And they're also members of the Northern Colorado Night to Shine collaboration. So pretty engaged stuff. Mosaic uses a person-centered model to deliver supports and focuses on serving the whole person. They're kind of in this forefront of trying to change the face of healthcare. So without further delay from me, let's kind of hand this over and let's get a deeper dive into all the awesome stuff Mosaic does. So thank you, Mosaic. Let's give them a warm red carpet welcome. Oh, Amanda, we might need to unmute you.
Yep, there we go. Is that better? All right, so good morning, everyone. My name is Amanda Hamilton, and I'm the Community Relations Manager for Mosaic in Northern Colorado. It is my pleasure to go out and share our mission with the community. I first learned about this organization several years ago while working in a similar role at another human services nonprofit. When I moved to Colorado, I knew that I wanted to continue working in the nonprofit sector, and I wanted to use my skills and talents to support an organization whose mission I could get behind. Mosaic had an opening, and I was familiar with what they did and confident that my skills would not go to waste here. So embracing God's call, Mosaic relentlessly pursues opportunities that empower people. The way we do this is by giving a voice to those we serve, helping them find a caring community, and offering supports that inspire meaningful lives. We like to refer to this time as a tour of our mission. Each stop will be a story about how we are changing the lives of those we serve. I'd like to now introduce you to Sally Montgomery, our Executive Director, who's going to share a little bit about herself and the overall vision of Mosaic. While you listen to the different stories this morning, please keep in mind ways that you might like to get involved, or any organizations that you think that you might like to connect us with. And with that, I'll pass it on to Sally.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm Sally Montgomery. I'm the Executive Director for Mosaic in Northern Colorado. This month, you heard a little bit about our history nationally, and it is, I know that's a really tough one to pronounce. It's Bethany Mission. So some of you may, if you've been in the area a long time, you may have heard that name, along with Martin Luther Holmes, our legacy organizations. So we have been in the Northern Colorado communities for 40 years this month. We are celebrating our 40th anniversary. I am excited to share with you that I have been there for 38 of those 40 years. So hopefully if anybody has questions or you remember hearing about this before, I'll often go to speak at churches and people will be like, I think I met you like 25 years ago. So it's my pleasure that I've been able to be a part of the mission for that time. But I first came to Fort Collins out of college, and I had my social work degree, and I was ready to go. And I had no idea that back in the early 80s that Fort Collins was a community full of social workers. There's still a lot of social workers here, but it was very packed with social workers. And so I had hoped to go to work in some kind of adolescent services. And at that time, I was naive. Now I've raised an adolescent, and so I have more sense. But that's what I had envisioned doing. That didn't happen. And so I went to work for Martin Luther Homes, excuse me, as a direct support staff in one of our 2 children's group homes at the time. And I thought I'll do this until I can get a real social work job. And well, here I am. I fell in love. I fell in love with the people that we serve. I fell in love with their families and with the mission of Mosaic. I've held a variety of positions across the agency here in Northern Colorado and across several of our 10 states over the years. I've always had the pleasure of living in Fort Collins and being able to come back here, and have been back in the executive director position now for about 11 years after going exploring elsewhere. So I really appreciate letting me share a little bit about myself and how I got here. I want to talk about our services. So we serve around 130 people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in Northern Colorado. We do that in a variety of ways. All of our services are what we would call residential services and supports. So we have about 90 people who live in what's called a host home. Some of you are probably familiar. You probably know somebody who provides services or know someone who lives in a host home. But for those of you who don't, host homes are like adult foster care, is the best way to describe it. There is an individual or a family who's a contractor, and they, after meeting and matching, they welcome someone into their home. You're going to hear from a couple of our host home providers today. So I think it'll give you a really good feel for that particular service that we provide. Then we also offer services to a number of people in apartment settings who live fairly independently, but they may need supports in variety of areas. Somebody may need help with banking or grocery shopping, menu planning, just community access, just establishing their own independence, how to run their home, pay their bills, those kinds of things. It really ranges. And so we have people who are living independently. They have access to us 24/7, and we go in, as we talked about in the beginning, the person-centered part of that is we just go in to help with what they need in particular. Then we also serve around 30 to 35 people in our intermittent services. And that's where we're going into someone's home, either their own home or their family's home, and providing supports based on what that individual and their family need. That could be respite. So we go in and provide time for other family members to go out, get errands done, do things they need to do. Sometimes that's us taking folks out and helping them access the community or do the activities that they're enjoying or meeting new people. And sometimes that is around building skills so that they can live more independently in the future. So those are the kind of core services that we provide. We also, this past year, have started providing behavioral services. We're excited about that. Mosaic feels this is such an important need in the community and in the people that we are seeing coming in for services are really needing some behavioral supports to be able to live and work in the community. And so we have started a grow your own kind of program where people can come through Mosaic and get into a college program, and then finish up their coursework and become certified to provide behavior services. We have 2 people in our agency who are going through that, so that's a really exciting addition. We also started providing a service called Day Respite, which offers full day, 24-hour respite for families and individuals who are receiving intermittent services. So people can take a weekend, a week, and to go stay with a respite provider, and the family or support person can get some much needed rest. I just want to share one thing with you before I turn it back over to Amanda. One of the things that we have just been so thankful for is our network of staff and providers. Oh, and we employ around 39 people, and then we have around 90 contractors that we contract with to provide the services. And we are so thankful for this network. During COVID, this has been certainly a time of transition for everyone. And for the people we support, it has been especially challenging. And the network that we have of providers have been so diligent. They've opened their hearts, they opened their homes, and they have just diligently planned and carried out a number of processes just to help keep people safe. And in partnership with our many community partners, still getting people, some activity and different things that they want to do. So I am so thankful for that. And as of today, I'm going to knock on wood. We have not had anybody in our organization who has tested positive. So we're thankful for that, because for the folks that we serve who are in a higher risk category, we have an especially important challenge to keep people safe. So Amanda, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Sally. There's a stereotype that people with intellectual disabilities are not contributing members of society. The reality, however, is the complete opposite. When given the opportunity, people with intellectual disabilities are job-holding, tax-paying members of the community, and often volunteer to assist with community organizations as well. I now want to introduce you to Vincent, one of our great host home providers. Vincent is going to share about someone he supports in his home. Mosaic is always looking for ways to connect those we serve to their community, and we can encourage our direct support providers to do so as well. Next, you will hear a wonderful example of what that looks like. Welcome, Vincent.
Thank you, Amanda. So this is Steve that you see in the picture. Steve Arnfield is a 58-year-old male living in Fort Collins. When I was first getting to know Steve, he had some issues taking pride in keeping his room clean. Laundry was done on a weekly basis, but he had a habit of messiness with items strewn around his floor that were rarely picked up. I knew this was something we were going to work on. He also had little acknowledgement in the importance of certain areas of personal hygiene. It is honest to say that being near Steve's room could test one's olfactory responses. It was also apparent Steve really liked electronics. He would regularly go on eBay, try to find inexpensive video cameras of different specifications. He currently has about 35 of these cameras, the majority of which cost about $10. When he gets one, he enjoys spending time learning about it, trying it out. I joke with him about charging tickets for his video camera museum. He has other electronics as well: record player, vinyl albums, cassette recorder, CD player, iPod, various earphones. Steve kept all of this equipment in his room and would spend his time in there when at home. Steve has a real love of folk rock and folk music from the 1970s. It was cool that we shared a strong interest in these classic rock genres. We discussed bands and songs, and we'll pull up songs on YouTube of various artists, pardon me, as well as listening to them on Steve's equipment. When I took over as host home provider, I took a good look at the living room space. 200 square feet, 2 large chairs and a couch, a table with some plants on it. That was my stuff. I have a large bedroom downstairs, and Steve has a smaller bedroom upstairs, and I felt Steve should be able to use the living room for some of his stuff as well. So he brought out his equipment entertainment center, and he had extra room for additional hobbies. Steve's housemate had recently gotten a guitar, and we spent a good amount of time discussing what instruments Steve might like to try out. We talked about eventually starting a house band, so it seemed like drums would be a good fit, and Steve liked that idea. Then we discussed various options. At first, we pondered a full-blown drum kit. I realized just how loud that would be in the room and the space that it would take up, so we ruled that out. Well, Steve started to research and found a digital drum pad, and he went with that. It's a high-quality drum pad, and it lets you program each of the 4 areas of the disc with one of 99 possible sounds, which is right up his alley. Later, Steve talked about getting a synthesizer. I have a friend with a synthesizer, and he brought it over to let Steve try it out. This gave Steve a sense of what synthesizers are like, and it helped him decide what kind he wanted. Now, Steve has his own synthesizer. Most recently, Steve bought a talkbox, which is a device you plug into your synthesizer with a plastic hose that goes into your mouth, so it sounds like your instrument is talking. All of these new electronic purchases, they provided opportunities for Steve to research his options and discuss the possibilities with me before he came to his final decisions on what to buy. He chose high-quality instruments with the best reviews that were in his budget and that made sense for what he wanted to accomplish. Over a year ago, I found Steve and his housemate a music therapist. Kimberly does a fantastic job with these guys. She's a wide array of songs they practice and is very good at acoustic guitar and vocals, with a great understanding of song dynamics. She visits weekly for an hour-long session, and Steve enjoys being a musician. The exploration of music and learning new skills has given Steve more confidence in himself. Last summer, Steve started talking about wanting a second job. He wanted to make more money, and he wanted to ideally be doing some sort of electronic work. He went through job training at the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation. Then in October, Steve had an offer presented by his job coach to work at a locally owned thrift store in Fort Collins. Steve is part of the electronics intake and testing department. They have Steve check in and test the electronic equipment that has been dropped off, along with other various duties. Steve really takes a lot of pride in this job, and he's always excited to go there. Steve participates in Action Club, which is sponsored by the local Kiwanis Club. Twice a month, a group of about 15 individuals who attend the day program at Foothills Gateway gather for these club meetings. They're structured as follows: the Pledge of Allegiance, the Action Club Pledge, Happy News, where each member mentions something they're happy about, followed by a presentation or a group project. Steve was voted late last year to be the club's president. So now he leads the group through their agenda and really enjoys his new role. I attend the meetings and give a little support when needed. Here is the pledge of the Action Club. I pledge in my honor to follow the objectives of the Action Club, to better my community, my country, and myself, to help those in need, to demonstrate loyalty to our community and nation, and to encourage others to do the same. As a reward for Steve's successes, his parents bought him a new MacBook Pro laptop for Christmas. It is top of the line, and he is learning how to use it. It is also good for his ongoing audio and video editing projects, which I have been assisting him with. With Steve's new confidence, he has developed more of an awareness for keeping his room and himself clean. Every Sunday is chore day, and he has developed an enjoyment for keeping his belongings organized. This includes a process where he has a multitude of cassette music tapes that were in storage at his parents', though he wanted to have them in the house. So, without my assistance, he found a shelving unit online that perfectly matched what he needed. It was also on sale. We discussed it, he ordered it, we went and picked it up at the store, he totally assembled it by himself and fit every single one of his cassette tapes in there. I talk to Steve regularly about always striving to improve himself. I feel that with my own hobbies of music and art, I'm an example for him in that mindset. He is encouraged to expand his awareness and place in the world around him and the world inside him. It is the spirit of Mosaic to discover the possibilities. It involves communication and giving the person ongoing encouragement to create the world that they desire. Mosaic relentlessly pursues opportunities that empower people, and Steve definitely feels more empowered to live the life he wants to live. Back to you, Amanda.
Thanks, Vincent. Mosaic is in need of assistance identifying opportunities where people we serve can give back to the community through employment or volunteerism. And it is my hope that there are some people here today who are connectors and will have a couple ideas to share with us. So the final stereotype I want to address is, as long as people have food and shelter, their needs are met. The reality to that, however, is that people also need, in addition to those things, an appropriate environment so that they can bloom and be successful. The final stop on our tour this morning is with Desiree, another great host home provider. Desiree is going to share a little bit about her journey and how she became a provider, and then also the 2 women that she supports in her home. So Mosaic works tirelessly to ensure that the right matches are made, vetting all providers and matching them with individuals who will complement their family situations and lifestyles.
So Desiree, you are off mute, but we can't hear you. I'm wondering if your computer settings are not set to your computer speaker. Let's see if we can hear you.
What about now?
Oh, we got you now. Perfect.
Better?
That's better.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, my name is Desiree Imis. I am mom to 3 boys, grandma to a 10-month-old little girl, and I'm also a host home provider for 2 wonderful ladies whose names are Kyra and Iva. I've been a Mosaic at home provider for 6 years, but my story as a caregiver doesn't begin here. When I was 19, I worked as an assistant teacher for Head Start. I had plenty of free time after work, so my mom suggested applying to be a direct support professional with the care provider agency that she worked for. I was hired on to work in a medically high needs group home. To say I was a little nervous would be correct, but I was definitely up for the challenge. I wasn't totally prepared, though, for everything that came with the job, which are long shifts, staff turnover, and losing out on quality time with my own family. But I stuck to it and I gave it my very best. So in 2004, I moved to Colorado. Mosaic was the first company I applied with and was hired to work at Capitol House, an all-female group home. Little did I know my first day at Capitol House would totally change my life. I distinctly remember standing in the kitchen waiting for the ladies to arrive home from day program. The staff had been so welcoming and made me feel sure that this was going to be a great place to work. The van pulled up and the very first person I met was Kyra. She walked right up to me and started asking questions, which I was very happy to answer. She was funny and inquisitive, and I knew I was in the right place. I worked there for a couple of years, right up until the birth of my son, and I decided to take time off to be home with him as a newborn, but I stayed in contact with the staff and the residents throughout the years. I remained a stay-at-home mom for the next several years, and although extremely grateful for the time I had at home with my young children, I missed work. I wanted to go back to Capitol House, and so in 2011, Mosaic welcomed me back. Kyra was so excited as I was to be working there again. Later that same year, Iva moved into Capitol House. She had not lived in a group home before, so it was imperative to make her feel welcome and comfortable, and she and I built a bond over the next 3 years. Iva trusted me, and I loved her. We were often told in our trainings that we're not friends with the people that we serve, but this is only partially true. The people served feel more like extended family. And in 2014, what I thought was a typical staff meeting actually changed my life again. We were told group homes would be the next year. Most people receiving this news might think about the loss of their jobs or the stress of finding new income. I was worried about the ladies who lived in the home. Where were they going?
Hang on, Desiree, give it a couple seconds. I think we lost you. You might need to back up by about 5 seconds. Let's try it again. Oh, we lost her. Hey, Desiree, I think we lost your audio again.
Family. During the last 2 weeks of my time at Capitol House, Kyra began to advocate for herself and made it clear she also wanted to move in with me. I hadn't thought about 2 new people living with my family, but every day she would tell me, I'm moving in with you, or I'm going to your house pretty soon. My very first friend after moving to Colorado was letting me know she was ready to come with me. I talked with my family and everyone was on board. So 2 weeks after Iva moved in, Mosaic made it possible for Kyra to move in. Not only was I thankful to have a home that provided the space, but I was grateful to have 2 of my most favorite people joining my family. Since moving in, I've seen tremendous growth in both Iva and Kyra. Iva is able to advocate her needs and is comfortable coming to me with them. Together, we problem solve, and she is more accountable with her finances while out in the community. She's able to make lasting connections with others because she's learned to trust people who are in her life. Kyra has also grown in many ways. She has a very special bond with my 14-year-old son and tells him every day how much she loves him. She's never before been in touch with her own emotions. She has more say over what she'd like to do as far as community outings, and she's able to see her own family more often. We've worked diligently.
Desiree, I think we lost you again. Can I?
To assist the success of these skills and relationships, but I've also enjoyed watching Kyra and Iva take charge of their individual lives, advocating for themselves and making choices that suit them. Mosaic has been a part of our journey every step of the way, providing guidance and support. They're a constant voice for those in their care, advocating and exploring all possibilities. Iva and Kyra are living their best lives because Mosaic believes in them and in me, and ensures we will have what we need to be successful. Thank you.
Thanks, Desiree.
Yeah.
So if she cut out during part of the presentation, I just wanted to back up a little bit. So a few years ago, Mosaic made the decision to close our group homes. Desiree discussed that. And then many of our direct support staff who worked in the group homes then transitioned to become host home providers for us. And that is how Desiree came to serve Iva and Kyra in her home. She was concerned about how Iva would transition into someone else's house. And then later, Kyra very diligently told Desiree that she too was going to move in with her. And so that's how she came to have both of those ladies live with her. So there is always a need for more qualified individuals to serve people in their home. The more providers we have, essentially, the more people we can support. So with that, we conclude this tour of our mission. In the next few days, it's my hope that I can reach out to each of you to get your feedback about our presentation, and then to also learn what ideas or connections you might have for us. But with that, I will end our presentation and we will entertain some questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Amanda. And thank you everyone at Mosaic for the great insight and the great stories. Really, really awesome stuff there. So Sally was doing a great job at answering some of those questions as they popped up, but we're going to re-go through them just in case some others on the call didn't actually get to hear or see those get answered. So we have a question from Patty is asking, is Mosaic in other states, and if you work with autistic individuals?
And I'll take that. Yes, we are in other states, and we do work with individuals with autism and have a variety of different services. Mosaic has spent quite a bit of time in the last couple of years really looking at how can we improve our ability and skills to be able to support individuals with autism and their families. So that is an area that we have been expanding into, and we serve quite a few people who have autism. So.
Thank you. Another question from Lisa. Are you currently hiring?
Yes, we do have positions open. And if you go to our website, Mosaic in Northern Colorado, Mosaic Info, in Northern Colorado. No, Mosaic in Northern Colorado.com. Sorry, we have a couple different websites. You can find the link to our open positions, or on our national page, mosaicinfo.org. There are also links. If you follow through to the Colorado locations, you will see links to be able to view positions open and links to apply.
Awesome. Mary Elizabeth is asking, does Foothills Gateway help place individuals in your program?
Yes, we have had a long relationship with Foothills Gateway, and they, through their case management services, that is how people are referred into the community for services. And so people will meet with their case managers, they become qualified for services, and then folks are given an opportunity to choose between the different provider organizations like Mosaic, you know, on who they would like to provide their services. So we do get referrals through Foothills Gateway, and we work, you know, daily with their case managers to support people who choose us for services.
Perfect. So I know there was a lot of interest about, can we hear Steve's music?
Yeah, I think Vince posted, I don't know if Vince is still on, but I think he posted a link to Steve with his music therapist. And we were last summer or September at our picnic. We have a big annual picnic, and he had just gotten his synthesizer, and so he was really wanting to play there, but he had just gotten it, and so we had talked about him hopefully playing in the future. Oh, there's Vince, he's here. So
Yeah, that link is part of my YouTube page, and I've been ongoing taking some videos of these guys and their various pursuits. This housemate's really into BMX and skateboarding. They've got these RC trucks, so there's some videos on there of their lives being active outside and so forth.
Very cool. So I think that's the last of the questions that are in the chat. However, I have a question. Oh, no, hang on. We have a question from Nate. Thank you, Nate. Question is are there any fundraising opportunities coming up for you?
Sort of. So we have one fundraiser every year. We call it our Partners and Possibilities event. Traditionally, it's a luncheon that we host in April. It's free to attend. There is an ask at the end of it, but it's just a free program and a lunch that we open up to the community. This past spring, we held it virtually. And then there are talks about next spring, whether it's going to be a luncheon or a virtual event again. So we're undecided on that, but it's going to be, I think it's the second to last Thursday in April. But that's really our only fundraiser that we do. We spend a lot of time just focusing on that. Giving Tuesday, I know, is coming up, and we welcome people to give on Giving Tuesday. We will host a social media event around that. Otherwise, like any other organization, we accept donations all year long. If somebody feels inspired to give, we always appreciate that. But if you would like information about our annual fundraiser, feel free to reach out to me and I will include you on that mailing list.
Perfect. And then Amanda, are you able to put your email in the chat? So if individuals want any insight on that, they can email you directly, or is there a better email?
No, I can do that right now.
Perfect. I got another question. This one's for Vince. We are wondering, are you involved with KRFC?
No, I used to be. I had a weekly show where I had musicians on, but that's something that I focus on my own art and music at this point.
Gotcha. Very nice. I was going to say, people must recognize your voice. So
Right. I have a face for radio.
Basic. You know what? I tell all my friends I got a face for TV and a voice for radio, and they don't believe either of those. So, all right, guys. So really awesome stuff here. Do we have any other questions? We only have a couple minutes left. Any other questions for Mosaic? Go ahead and just shout them out. If you have a question, go ahead and shout them out.
So I did want to thank Mosaic. So you guys have been members of the chamber since 1987, which is a long time. Sincerely appreciate your support in what we do as well. So thank you very much for that.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Of course.
Well, very good, guys. Well, we have a couple minutes left, so why don't we do this? Let's do what we always do. Let's make it